Hello there, I'm Kennedy, and this is Dom from Muse. Very excited to hear 5 tracks from the Second Law.
Cool.
Yeah, I was in what excited me most, I'm not going to lie, and maybe I'm different in this regard, but the rhythm, the beats are totally different.
Cool. Well, seeing as I'm the drummer, that's not a nice thing to say.
But I liked what I was hearing, and I was also intrigued because at least what I heard, there were not as many electronic elements. And Muse has always had that electronic infusion. Was there purposeful stepping away from that?
No, not necessarily. I think we get influenced by all different styles of music: electronic, rock, metal, orchestral music, film music, all sorts of things, funk music. But yeah, I mean, there are some tracks that are, to me, sound very electronic, like a track like "Follow Me" and "Madness," which are
Madness is very electronic, and very 80s, which I love.
Yeah,
and a great build.
And then, there's tracks like Unsustainable, which is what we released on this little trailer that we
Which I didn't hear, and I know there was a Skrillex influence there.
Well, there was a bit of an influence from, like, I suppose, dubstep kind of music, like current electronic music in there, but we took a bit of an influence, but we wanted to kind of play it with real instruments, and it's almost like a challenge to, a person on a laptop.
Yeah.
With that kind of idea. So yeah, I mean, so we will take influence from electronic music, but sometimes we'll, I guess, present it in a very organic kind of way.
Is that the hardest thing? Is sonically having different influences and finding the balance?
I think, well, that's certainly defines our sound.
Yeah.
In some ways, yeah. I mean, like, Survival, that track, which is the Olympic song.
Yes.
Or one of the Olympic songs.
The official song of the 2012
apparently
Olympic Summer Games.
Yeah, I mean, that song, that again for me is like walking this line of being completely absurd or being like just great and epic and heavy and like mind blowing. So, right at the end, when Matt sings the loudest note he's ever sang, and it's like this big crescendo.
Which is saying something for Matt Bellamy.
which is this big choir singing these big like gladiator style chords at the end. That's probably one couple of toes over the line.
I saw you guys at Coachella a couple of years ago, and I was watching you, and it's hard to break through for a lot of bands at Coachella because there's so much music, there's so many different kinds of music, and many people are there to see their favorite band. And I watched you guys on stage, and I said to myself, this is the best live band in the world right now.
I think, a lot of that comes from probably like a weird insecurity initially, because we were just like, we've always been 3 people, a 3-piece band. We do have a keyboard player when we play live, but just being a 3-piece band for the first 3 albums, I think, the venues got bigger, and we probably felt like, well, shit, what we got to do now? We need to get some massive screens and a few pyros, and how are those people sitting at the back of the arena going to feel like they're down at the front with the people watching on the barrier? So I think the music has influenced the size of the venues, at the same time, vice versa, the venue has influenced the size of the music and the show as well. So we just want to make it be memorable, I suppose.
Do you think about that when you're writing this record? I mean, when you're trying to evolve, do you think about the live aspect as the songs are being arranged, as the elements are coming together?
But this time, we were thinking about absolutely playing live, like Supremacy, the first song on the album. We had the whole studio like with big PA system and all the drums like mic'd up going into the PA system, because we wanted to try and create that feeling of playing live.
And that's the first track.
And that's the first track. And then, if you've heard it today or when people do hear it, it's like this huge like stadium style rock type riff, but it has a very live feeling to it. But that's because we were certainly thinking about playing it, at Wembley Stadium when we were recording it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to listen to, and that's what's exciting about a band who's been doing it. And you're obviously still really excited about the music. It's not like Metallica sitting on stage just farting out songs because they're going for a paycheck. I mean, there's some progression here.
Yeah, I don't know. We still have a lot of ambition, I suppose. I don't know. It's the way we've always been. I think we've just always been all 3 of us have been very like open musically to trying out new things. We've never been like stuck in one genre of music that we feel we can't get out of or we don't want to get out of for some reason.
Kinky.
So we're just open to do anything.
Have you really been together for 18 years?
Yeah.
Okay, that leads me to my next question. You're on a boat. It's just 3 of you. You're out rowing. There's a white squall that comes out of nowhere. There's only 2 life jackets. Who gets the other one besides you?
Well, Chris is quite big, So he could probably
Can
take one, and
float.
I reckon me and Matt, we're quite small, so we could probably share one.
That's very sweet. Now, Chris has been very vocal about his sobriety, which is
Yeah.
a tough thing, and it has to completely change the dynamic. You know,
Mm.
if you're with someone who's been inebriated, maybe doesn't remember half the time you've been together, how does his sobriety change what you're doing?
Yeah, well, he's just changed drastically. I mean, he has been, in a very cloudy, weird place for over a decade, I would have thought. More than that, yeah. So, and as far as the band goes and his involvement with the band, I mean, this time round it's changed drastically because he's clear-headed now, and he's a completely different person. He's like way more open with his how his feelings, his communication with us, I think, and creatively as well.
Too open? Let's be honest.
No, it's
Wants
like
to read you his journals.
it's just like he's actually there now.
Yeah.
Like before, it's like he wasn't there at all. Like the last album, Resistance, and he'll be the first to admit it as well. But it felt like a lot of the time it's just me and Matt in the studio producing it, because he would shuffle around and and disappear and just not really be there, because he's just boozing it up. And so it was kind of like this time round, it felt like we just had a different person in the band. Yeah.
Let me ask you this about your process, because obviously, you probably grew up as more of a drummer than the synth guy. But, was it just self-preservation that you had to learn how to create beats? And what would you rather do? Like bang the skins or like craft something electronically?
I like doing both. I mean, I love playing the drums because that's ultimately my first instrument. So, I think maybe some drummers feel like it might be a weird, challenging thing to bring that into the band. Because I think there was a lot of pissed off drummers in the 80s, when those drum machines started replacing band members.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love working like that, and it's just a different creative way of working. It's about layering things up, and sometimes I'll take that way of working and do it with acoustic drums. So it's all interesting to me.
All right. Well, Dom, you're awesome.
Thanks. You too.
This is a Kennedy-approved interview. Thank you, and goodbye.